Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be taking apart this scape and replacing it with something new. So I've been putting this off for a while just because my betta fish had developed a case of fin rot and wasn't very well, but since I've managed to successfully treat him and he's happy enough, I've decided that I'm going to be able to rescape the tank. So I am really in two minds about doing this because I really do love this scape, even though it's just a complete messy jungle. And it's really overgrown and it reached its prime quite a while ago, but it needed to be done. So it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to keep the substrate layer in this tank. So we're not going to be starting with a complete blank canvas. This had power sand and atropic soil in it, and it's just been really good for the plant growth, so I'm just going to keep it in there. The wood that I'm going to be using today is structure wood. Now this is two pieces that I glued together, and I did this the day before just because they're two quite big pieces that are quite heavy, and I just wanted to really ensure that they were glued together. So I just did that with tissue paper and moss scaper glue, or just any cyanoacrylate super glue will work. And this is probably just one of the simplest scapes ever. It was just a case of popping this structure wood into the tank and just putting it in a position that I'm happy with. I'm trying not to go triangular because that's what I always do, but we'll see how it ends up. And then I'm just going to place a few Siriu stones around the base. I'm not going to go overboard with the kind of rock work on this. Because the way that I'm wanting to plant it and the way that I'm hoping it'll grow is that it'll probably cover most of this anyway. So this is just some slight accent details. Now I was toying with whether to add another piece of wood into this scape or not, whether to just keep it kind of open in this area and just have like a hair grass carpet. But I had a small piece of structure wood, so I thought I would give it a try and pop it in. So in the end, this scape was made up of just 3 pieces of structure wood and about 7 or 8 stones. So I played with some different positions, but in the end, I think this one kind of worked the best. It's kind of hard to see the vision on this one, but yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to work. I just wanted to go for something really classic, heavily planted, sort of nature style aquarium. So the piece of structure wood on the right is a little bit too tilted, so I ended up lifting that up a little bit. But overall, this was probably one of the simplest and most easiest hardscapes I've ever done. But yeah, hopefully when it's planted, it should be effective. There is a kind of little cave area that you can kind of see, and I was toying with whether to put sand in that, but I think for now I'm going to plant it, and if nothing grows, I'll remove it for sand. So I just quickly glued some of the rocks and to the wood, and this was just to stop it floating. But when I filled it, I did end up putting a rock on top of the big piece of wood anyway, just to avoid any floating, because there's not a lot of stones to actually glue it to. So obviously my plant choice was everything from the old scape, so I'll leave a list in the description or the comments because there's just too many plants to name. I'm not even sure what half of them are, but the majority of it is various types of Bucephalandra, Anubias, Crypts, there's some trident fern, and there's some Eriocaulon Vietnam, which was extremely healthy. It was really good to see when I took it apart, even though it was kind of sad just how healthy these plants were, because it's been running on a no CO2 setup, and this will be the same again. So it was kind of sad because they were just doing so well in the environment that they were in. But yeah, we'll try them in here. So I started with placing the biggest clumps of the epiphytes, so the Anubias and the Java fern, on the big sort of island on the left, if you like, and then started dotting the smaller Anubias and Bucephalandra sort of in the entrance to this little cave area and just round the front of the wood as well. I then added some Sterigine weapons into the foreground, along with some Crypt Parva, Liliopsis brasiliensis, and some dwarf hairgrass. I really tried to keep scale in this one in terms of like plant size and actually use them sort of dependent on the growth and just accordingly. So this is Eriocaulon Vietnam. I don't think it's a very common plant, and this has just been growing practically in the back dark side corners of the old tank, and it was just extremely healthy. So I'm going to use it as a sort of mid-ground background plant and just have these sort of grassy shoots coming up from the back. I do want to add some Blixa japonica. It's a plant I've never grown, but I do think that'll probably give a nice texture that is kind of similar to the Eriocaulon Vietnam as well. And I've mixed some Albedo brown in there and just some various crypts that I had in the background. They might break the scale of this a little bit, so if they don't look right when it's kind of grown in, I will replace them with something new. So after planting the hairgrass carpet, it was time to fill it with water, and as you can see, this is kind of the look I'm going for, or it's kind of what I imagined in my head, but we just need to wait for it to grow in now. So I'm going to be doing water changes every day. I'm going to be dosing Seachem Flourish Advance. This just helps stimulate the roots of the plants and just kind of gives them a head start in growing, and I find that really helps dwarf hairgrass carpet in the early days, especially when you're not running CO2. So I definitely recommend that if anybody's trying to grow a Eleucharis parvula carpet. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this one, guys. I know it was short and it was kind of quick, but it was a very simple scare. I'm just hoping it's going to be effective. And just by the way, and if you're interested, I have launched a new line of t-shirts under the name Aquascaping Apparel. You can find that on Instagram, or the link to my online shop is in the comments or in the description as well. And I've just got a range of aquascaping t-shirts. They range from £16 to £19, and they're available for worldwide delivery. So thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.